show. We've got a great guest for you today. We've got Danny Khursigara, and he's the founder of FreedomOne International, and they specialize in executive and life coaching and business transformation. And Danny helps corporate leaders, including empowering women, entrepreneurs, managers, and sales professionals on how to accelerate the achievement of their personal, professional, and career goals that ultimately leads to more success, happiness, and fulfillment in business and life. So both are intertwined. And for the past 19 years, he's worked in capacities of Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer for Fortune 500 companies such as ABN, AMRO, Royal Bank of Scotland, Standard Chartered Bank, Australia and New Zealand Banking Group, and PriceWaterhouse in Japan, China, and the Philippines, Pakistan, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. He's co-authored the Amazon bestseller, Road to Success with Jack Canfield, which is part of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. He was selected as Top 100 Authority by Influence Magazine for 2017. He's appeared on TEDx, Living with Purpose, and co-produced the Emmy-nominated documentary film, Soul of Success. And in March this year, he's going to release his new book, Inside Out, 8 Success Keys to Help Millennials Thrive, will be released. Danny is personally trained and mentored with Jack Canfield, America's #1 success coach, in the success principles, and conducts seminars, workshops, keynote talks, and private coaching sessions internationally. His goal is to impact 50,000 people in the next 5 years. He loves to travel, explore new beaches, listen to music, meditate, and enjoys a good workout. Danny presently lives with his wife and 3 daughters in Hong Kong. Danny, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tracy. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, you're welcome. So let's just get right into it. We had a good introduction there, but tell us a little bit more about what you do and the people that you're helping.
Well, basically, I started my company beginning of 2017. I've been coaching and mentoring for the past decades in my corporate career with large teams as 200, 300 people. And I thought this was something I was really passionate about. I always wanted to have my own business, my own consulting practice. And that's when I launched FreedomOne in Hong Kong. And basically, it's a results-driven executive coaching and a business transformation company. And like you rightly said, I help corporate leaders including empowering women, entrepreneurs, managers, and individuals on how to accelerate the achievement of their personal goals, their business goals, as well as the career goals, because I believe that business and life are intertwined. If you can't be happy in one and not be happy in the other. So it has to be a combination of your personal life and your business life, and that creates success. Because for me, success means fulfillment and happiness, and not just a monetary or a material success that people, have a definition for that. So this is something I'm really passionate about, and that's what we do day in and day out. I conduct workshops, private executive coaching sessions with C-suite executives, public workshops, seminars internationally, and I'm now looking to grow my business in other parts of the world as well.
Awesome. Well, you've had a great success. And how did you really, get interested in doing what you're doing and helping people?
Well, I get asked this question many times. People say you've been banking for 19 years and suddenly you branch out on your own. And the thing about this is that back in 2010, when I came to Hong Kong after moving from Japan and the Philippines as a Chief Operating Officer for Royal Bank of Scotland, I had all the success, and I was very happy in my personal career, but there was something missing. The question I kept asking myself is, am I feeling fulfilled? And I realized that success without fulfillment isn't the most sustainable way to live. So I went out in search of how do I find this fulfillment piece in whatever I do. And, this thing was kind of in my mind for maybe a year and a half. And it's quite a unique story around this. You've been to Hong Kong, right?
Yes, absolutely. I've been all over the Orient.
Yes. So my bank was basically situated in an AIA tower in central Hong Kong,
Mm-hmm.
and I was quite lucky. My wife used to come and pick me up each evening when we went home, so I was quite lucky in that respect. But one particular day she couldn't make it, and I had to get the bus home. And while I was going home, I was where I live is up on a hill, and there was a board that says "Ask and you shall receive." Now,
Mm.
I must have seen that, myriads of time. Every single day I pass by that same road. But on that particular day, it kind of hit me differently. There's something in that message that kind of resonated so powerfully. The next morning, I, meditated on this. I asked the question, what is it that I need to, think about? What is it something I need to receive? First week when nothing happened, second week when nothing happened, third week nothing happened. A month later, I was in a bookstore with my kids, and something you might not know about me is that I love movies, not so much books. So you
Mm.
might be saying, why am I becoming an author? But I like movies a lot. So I was just wandering around the spirituality section looking for a book by Deepak Chopra.
Mm.
And while I was about to pull his book out, another book next to it just fell to the floor. I picked it up, and it was a book called Secrets of the Light by a guy called Daniel Brinkley. And I said, wow. And I kind of just turned the book and wanted to understand what it was all about. So it was about a guy who had 3 NDEs, near death experiences.
Okay.
And it was about his story. He was on HBO, he was on Larry King, and his story has been covered internationally. So I was quite intrigued. I sat down on the floor and started reading the book. Something in some of the messages there really resonated with me. So I just continued sitting on that floor, reading the book. 30 minutes later, I looked up and I saw a security guard staring at me and saying that, what the hell is this guy doing? He's going to read the book, put it back, and go home.
You need to pay for that, sir.
Exactly. So I bought the book, finished it in 2 days, and then I really wanted to speak to the guy directly. So through a common friend, I called him up one morning, and while I was dialing his number, I was thinking, what am I going to say? Danny from Hong Kong, who am I? Why am I calling?
Mm-hmm.
And he picked up the phone, and I said, Danny, and this is Danny. And he said, I was waiting for your call.
Mm. Boom.
And yeah, and I had goosebumps all over me.
I guess.
I forgot I forgot why I called him. For a second, I was completely lost for words. I was thinking we were going to talk about maybe 10, 15 minutes. We spoke for over an hour. But the crux of the conversation was that I had to do something bigger than what I was doing just now.
Mm.
To become more fulfilled, I had to do something that's more fulfilling. And that's why I kind of went and searched for this. And, I looked at a number of mentors, Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, many people out there. But because I've always been, involved in the success principles, and a lot of them I've already applied into my life, Jack was the guy who resonated with me. I spent a year, training with him. I really wanted to get deep into executive coaching, making an impact on people. And spent some time with him. It was a fantastic experience, and some other mentors like Peter Sage, etc. So from that onwards, I said, this is something that I really feel good about. I created a goal that I wanted to impact 5,000 people in 5 years. That was back in late 2016.
Mm.
By the grace of God, I tell you, when your purpose, passion, vision, and goals are in alignment, things happen much faster. And in sort of 5 years, I was able to achieve at least 4,000 people in less than 9 months.
Nice.
So that made me go from 5 to 50 and say, let's try 50 and see what happens with that. So I don't really know where I'm going to end up. But that's something I really wanted to, create something bigger. So, that kind of keeps me motivated, keeps me inspired, and I can do different things, which is why I, get into books, get into producing movies, just to spread the message as much as I can.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that story with us. And there's always that aha moment, or that moment that really hits you between the eyes. It says, this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is where I'm going. So awesome experience. What is it, or what along the way, besides, I love Jack Canfield too, by the way. In fact, he was the first guy I've seen speaking, and I thought, man, I need to model that guy. So, but what is it that's inspired you along the way? Has it been a book? Is there a book that stands out that really inspires you?
Well, it's basically a combination of things. Because in my corporate career, I came across really inspiring people. Uh,
Mm.
you would, if you want to, that's why I tell people it's the fastest way to get what you want to get is to find an authority figure, find a mentor, find a coach, find somebody who's done what you want to achieve and
Hmm.
try to follow. So I've had a lot of mentors and authority figures in my life. But at the same time, the books that inspired, one was the Success Principles, the other one was The Secret.
Mm.
And I've been into personal development for decades.
Nice.
That's something that I've really enjoyed because I used to run large teams across Asia Pacific. So mentoring and coaching was part of my corporate job as well.
Hmm.
But when these aha moments started happening, like the one I just described, I really wanted to get much more deeper into that. And then I looked at people like Deepak Chopra, Tony Robbins, and a lot of these people who make an impact in the world and whose work resonates with me as well.
So you're primarily focusing on, I mean, who's your primary avatar? I mean, is these people in high levels of business, or is this male, female? Exactly who are you helping?
Well, mainly it's senior corporate executives, C-suite executives, or also director level people.
Mhm.
Nowadays, I've seen that women are taking higher positions in companies, and they're really, really switched on, if you ask me. And I find that helping them create a clear vision, helping them execute within the company, it's something I really enjoy doing. And those are the kind of people I work with on a one-on-one basis. But I also get called into companies and talk to their senior leaders in order to create a leadership pipeline,
Mhm.
helping them execute the changes the management wants them to execute, break down resistance to change. So those are the things I also help companies, execute along the way. I
Mhm.
also do public workshops because I feel that whatever work I do should not be just confined to the corporate environment or the entrepreneurial environment, but
Mhm.
also the public at large. So I've just recently started doing public workshops, and I did one in Manila last year. I've done 3 in Hong Kong, and I'm looking for another 2 in China next year. So it's slowly, step by step growing. Yeah.
Awesome. So obviously, I've read your autobiography and been around you a little bit, but what is it that really makes you get out of bed in the morning to do what you do?
Yeah, it's just helping people. It's just loving to do what you're doing. It's. I remember once Jack told me that when your vocation becomes your vacation, you made it.
Mm.
That's what I enjoy. Of course, that doesn't mean everything is very smooth sailing. I think the whole thing is that when you're fully invested and you like what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. Sometimes you'll be working, 12, 15 hours a day, but it doesn't feel like work because it's something you really enjoy doing. And that's really what moves me. And when somebody comes back and says that, you changed my life, or you changed my business, or you helped me through a tough period in my life, that's an additional satisfaction you get, which you cannot, there's no parallel to that. So for me, uh, that's the piece that gives me more fulfillment, that I'm using my talents and natural abilities to the highest potential. That's
Okay.
what really makes me wake up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What are you finding to be the biggest challenge when you're helping people at that level?
Well, I think a couple of things. So one of the bigger obstacles that I see happening is that many people tend to live in the past within
Mm.
defined societal structures and thinking patterns that are not always conducive to change.
Mm.
So what happens is they continue to create and recreate the same outcome over and over again. So fundamentally, there is a resistance to change and a fear to step out of your comfort zone. I see that a lot, that at an individual level. There's another misconception that I've seen amongst people, and that's around, if people feel that somebody else is responsible for the situation they're in. No, it's
Mm.
my boss, it's my team who doesn't understand, it's my spouse, it's other people, it's my mentor, it's the government, it's,
Mm.
or everybody else except for myself. So I think we need to do a little bit more introspection with them and say, you are responsible for the quality of your life. You're responsible for the results you create in your life. Just bringing that awareness. This is at an individual level. At a corporate level, what I've noticed quite a lot since the last couple of years is lack of clarity and strategic focus. That's really, really important because, I've seen businesses running without a clear vision. They're doing things because the head office wants them to do, but locally there is no clear vision, and the people don't really follow that vision because they're not clear about it. So it's very important to have a clear focus, a strategic focus, and a vision that people can resonate with. I'll just give you an example. Some time ago, a few years ago, when I was a COO in China for RBS, I took my whole management team out, for an offsite, and we said, I need to create a vision. And we said, what does that mean? Well, why do we have to do that? And I said, the same question you asked me, why do you come to work every day? What motivates you to come? You're spending 10 hours a day on your job. So you need to find some level of inspiration and motivation to do that. It's not just for the money. So we spent quite a lot of time around that, and we came up with a vision, a collective vision statement. It was not something that I came out, but my whole management team had an input, and we said, we'll use it as good to great, a collaboration for success. Because as a COO, I would look after these 7-8 departments, so we wanted to bring all of them together. So as soon as we created that vision, good to great, collaboration for success, people started taking ownership for that, because now I own the vision. Somebody has just pushed it down on me and said, this is the vision, follow it. So we created that vision ourselves, and now we take ownership for that. Two things happen. When people take ownership, resistance to change goes down. It diminishes a lot. And there's significant improvement in communication and employee engagement, because now you're on the hook. You need to deliver. You need to execute, you need to implement. So you want to make sure that you're going to communicate the vision clearly to your people. And as a result, the whole organization gets clear on where it is you're going. I had that pasted all over the organization so that everybody comes, to work in the morning, they see it, so subconsciously, they know where they're heading. And it's very inspiring, it's very motivating. And I found that when organizations do that, things happen more effortlessly, more easily, and people are inspired to actually create the results they're meant to create. Sorry, that was a long answer to a short question.
Perfect. You actually went into the next question, was to share an example of how you've helped someone, so that worked out good.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. And so what would be your best piece of advice for either an individual or a corporation to, take that first step?
Well, I would say from an individual level, I think it's the awareness that we create our own reality. Our thoughts, our actions, and our behaviors. We create our own reality. I know people might say, oh, that's a very simple concept, but trust me, most people don't resonate with it. So it's really, really important to understand that we create our reality. Secondly, it's about clarity and getting in touch with your soul's calling. I think this is really important. I learned this lesson maybe in my mid-40s when I asked this question. And I wonder if I had asked this question when I was maybe in my 20s, I probably might have had a different life. So what fulfills you at a soul level? What makes you happy? Again, a very basic question, but many people find it really difficult to answer that. So I think get clear on that. But thirdly, like I said before, the fastest way to get somewhere, fastest way to achieve what you want to achieve is to find someone who's already done it. An authority figure, whether it's a mentor, a coach, or a role model, just try and get there as fast as you can. At a company level, I just mentioned about having a clear vision, having a set of values that resonate in the company. But what is really, really important that differentiates successful organizations versus everyday organizations, I would say, is execution. Execution is really, really, really crucial. So you can have a perfect plan, but if you have mediocre execution, you're never going to get the outcome. So I would say, you can have an imperfect plan, but execute perfectly. And that's what really creates the outcomes you want. So again, these are very simple tips, but once you engage your people in this, you can move mountains. It doesn't matter whether the economy is doing well. It doesn't matter whether there's a recession. It's your focus, it's your strategy, and it's your execution.
It's your economy you're creating.
Exactly.
So excellent. So why do you think that so many of these folks have this challenge? I mean, why aren't we getting this in the school system?
Yeah, so that's basically one of the reasons why I got this book out. It's a very, very good question. The book that's coming out, which is Inside Out: 8 Success Keys to Help Millennials Thrive. Actually, this goes beyond millennials as well, but I've kind of focused a little bit more on millennials. You know, all of us have a purpose and a passion to fulfill, but why is it that only a handful of people actually tap into that?
Mm.
So what we're talking about in this book is about how do you tap into your potential and how do you make better choices? The second intention of this book is to impact the educational system. You know, especially in Asia, you know, there is fierce competition, old school of thinking, and there is so much pressure in terms of tradition, in terms of culture, in terms of parents asking you to, you know, what's acceptable by society, what's not. So
Mm-hmm.
there's so much of pressure that the creativity goes out of the window. So what we're trying to do in this book is to introduce life skill training into educational institutions so that the younger generation can make better choices, more informed choices in terms of career, in terms of finance, in terms of relationships, in terms of spiritual growth, whatever it is that they want to do. They tap into their purpose, they tap into their passion and create the life they want at a younger age. So it's basically bringing that awareness. And I think if education institutions, you know, think in that direction, you could have a fantastic generation coming out.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, why wait till you're 40 or 50 to figure it out? I mean, you get it in there early and educate them, but it's got to be either in the system or encourage them to, you know, they always say a self-education will make you a fortune, but, you know, how do you impact them early on? And you're going to do that through seminars, you're going to do that through educational series, and through your book, obviously.
Yes, absolutely. So basically, I do want to approach education institutions, but also the millennial generation, because I get similar questions asked from millennials as well. So I'm in a high-powered job, a high-paid job, but I'm so stressed out, I don't feel happy.
Right.
And then they enter into a coaching program, they educate themselves, and finally realize, oh, maybe I should have chosen an alternate career. Yeah, I was speaking to a group of graduates a couple of months ago, and one of them said, "I want to go into banking." And I said, "Why banking? What do you know about banking?" He says, "I don't know much about banking." So I said, "Why do you want to pursue a career in that?" And he said, "You know, have you seen the cars the bankers drive? Have you seen the suits they wear?" I said, "You know, okay, I get it, but you know, that's not why you want to make certain choices." So it's just bringing out, you know, getting them in touch with their passions, their purpose, and being able to use their creativity to make better decisions and more informed choices. And I think you can do that through seminars, through online programs. And I'm right now creating a certification, which is a train the trainer. Many people have approached me that they want to do what I do in Asia Pacific. So I'm creating a certification program that's going to come out in the next couple of months, where I'll help people, become coaches, mentors, and can start their own businesses. I did a survey recently. Actually, I did it in December 2017. I sent a survey to about 2,500 people on my mailing list, and one of the questions was, what does success look like for you in 2018? Mm-hmm. And I was quite surprised. 75% said impacting others.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. And I had stress management, I had a team building, I had a lot of things, but most people picked up impacting others. And I said, wow, this is pretty cool. So there's an awareness that we need to do something different than what we've been doing before. So which is why I thought it's a good time to bring out a kind of a train the trainer, where you can help people start their own businesses, get more trained into the success principles, and go and help other people.
Excellent. So I've had the pleasure of reading an advanced copy of your book, and it's excellent, but what kind of feedback are you getting so far on that?
Well, so far I've got very good feedback from people across the board. I kind of selected various people from the bank, some people from the banking industry, people from the coaching industry, from the spiritual, and overall, we've got some very, very encouraging feedback. It's going to be in the first parts of the book. But one thing I do want to touch upon is that I'm very grateful to those who were very gracious enough to give their interviews. I selected 7 people for an interview because I wanted to make this book relatable, make it real life stories, real life challenges, and real life solutions. So there are some people who I've interviewed who I know at a personal level, and some people whose work I follow. And you're one of the interviews as well, so thanks for that. And,
my pleasure.
So those interviews really were so inspiring for me, and I hope they inspire the reader as well, because there are like, for example, there's Sarah Landon. She was working in corporate America for a number of years, and now she's a global spiritual transformation leader on a channel for the council. And her story is amazing. If you read the book, you know it's really amazing. And one thing she said, I want to read out for the listeners and for yourself. It's really cool. And she says that fear creates fewer options. There are infinite possibilities when we get in touch and into alignment with the vibration of love and joy. Simple message, very powerful.
Yes.
Similarly, Nick Nanton is a 5-time Emmy Award winner and a guy who I produced Soul of Success with. He mentioned, and I'll just read that out. I'm grateful for every risk I took and for having the ability to define my path, not allowing it to be defined for me. There
you go.
He was a lawyer, and then he went into the branding industry and made a name for himself. Yourself, you mentioned, once we experience what success feels like, the next logical step is to see where we can duplicate it in other parts of our life. Really powerful. People resonate with that. I had Thibaut Villay, who's the ex-vice president of L'Oreal, and now he runs a company called May.com in China. And he said something really cool. He said, it's not just about thinking ahead that leads to success. It's also about identifying the emerging thing before it takes off. These are very important tips for people who are just embarking on a new career. Joel Schroff, who's the founder of Fossil, the luxury brand Fossil, he's a philanthropist and an amazing human being. I know him personally. And he said, I have 2 hands, one for steadying myself and one for helping others.
Nice.
Yeah, so when you listen to people who come from humble backgrounds and they made something of their life and did something bigger than just themselves, it's really very inspiring. Similarly, Lo Ting Fai he's one of the youngest senior general managers in Hong Kong, and his story is all about intuition. How his intuition guided him to go where he is today. Again, it's a story that people in Hong Kong, people in China can very easily relate to.
Nice.
Coming from humble beginnings. Similarly, Jill McKillen. So I'm very grateful to all those people who agreed to have their interviews in the book, because I'm sure people will really take a lot out of that.
Oh, yes. And I'm honored as well to be able to participate. And we're super excited about this truly international effort. And we're excited for the release. So if people want to find out more about you, how can they do that?
Well, the easiest way is to go on my website, www.dannykhursigara.com. Or they can email me at danny@dannykhursigara.com. I have actually a survey on my website. People can fill it out and it directly comes to me. And, I usually give a free strategy session to people as well. They can even download my free chapter from The Road to Success that I co-authored with Jack Canfield. So there are many ways you could find. And these days with the internet, the world is at your feet.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for providing some golden nuggets for our audience. We're super excited about your book coming out. We're looking forward to that as well. So thank you for being on the show, Danny.
Thank you, Tracy. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. So there you have it for this edition of the show. We'll see you the next time.